All right, here we are again back. Dialogues of Diversity, Ron Jones. You might notice that our environment is a little different. The conference we are at is officially over. The building's right there, and they won't let us back in it. So we are here in the hotel next door, and we're getting to the next chapter of our conversation with Jeff Shop about his life, his experiences, and what it all means to all of us. So last time we talked about this whole idea of, maybe getting out a little too late, and then all of the bad stuff that happened there, um, and the lessons learned. And so you came to a turning point. So why don't we just jump in right there? Tell us about when you just realized this is done, or however that happened.
Well, it was a process.
Right.
So in around 2016, I met a man by the name of Darryl Davis.
Ah.
And Darryl, you know Darryl?
I love
Yeah,
Darryl. Yeah.
Darryl's my brother.
Yeah.
And
Darryl is everybody's brother.
He is a phenomenal
Yeah.
human being and a very special person.
Yeah, he is. By the way, stay tuned on this website, because I actually interviewed Darryl about a year or so ago, and I've yet to put that interview up. So it's super long, because Darryl the man. Darryl can go on. And Darryl and I talked as much about we talked as much about rock and roll and its history and roots as we did about social justice. So I'm still trying to figure out how to put it all together. So stay tuned for that as well. Anyway, I digress.
So meeting Darryl Davis, he was doing his film Accidental Courtesy.
Right, yeah.
So the producers contacted me and said, hey, would you like to, participate in this film and talk about what you do and the movement and all that? I was still in it this time.
Right, yeah.
And so I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to spread the word, is what I thought, right? But it didn't work out that way. Thank goodness. So I thought I was going to go promote the movement and all this, and I made a friend for life instead. Darryl planted the seeds, and how he did that, how he was able to get to me, was by sitting and having a conversation, facilitating dialogue, talking, and treating one another, even though we didn't agree with each other, treating each other as human beings. Or I should say, he treated me as a human being.
Right, yeah. And that's so critical, because, again, that's one of the things, just one of those big bullet points, people. I might even put some graphics up around here, like wavies coming off my head or something, because this is one of those things that gets me. Civil discourse isn't about agreement. It's about clear, respectful communication for the sake of making your point clear. But if you're trying to change someone's mind, you've already failed. You can't make people think anything. So if you want to understand them, you got to sort of speak to where they are. And that usually takes dignity, decency, real listening, and compassion. And Darryl is all of that.
Absolutely.
He is all of that.
And another thing, what Darryl did was showed vulnerability. And what he told me is what really got to me.
Yeah.
He started talking to me about how racism affected him as a child.
Yeah.
And what happened to him when he was in the Boy Scouts, where he was pelted with rocks at a Boy Scout parade because of the color of his skin.
Right.
So here he's sitting with the head of the Nazi party.
Right.
And I'm trying not to show any emotion, because I'm, not going to let that get to me.
Nazis don't cry.
Right, exactly. On the inside, it got to me.
Yeah.
But on the outside, I just pretended like it didn't bother me. But it did. It got to me deeply, because I thought, what if that was one of my children?
Right.
And here's this wonderful human being sitting in front of me, and he's telling me about that and how it affected him. And it didn't snap right away. It took time for that to resonate and stick. But it was like, if that is how this affected this one man, this one individual, how many other hundreds of thousands, millions of people has it affected that way?
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, this movement, this cause that I thought I was fighting for,
so committed to,
so good and so wonderful, that I thought in my head at that time, maybe it's not. And we know it's not.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was thinking, well, how do you reconcile with that?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing for so many of these issues with people. There has to be a certain degree of cognitive dissonance. And as you said in the talk you gave at the conference, basically a kind of a lack of humanity that is afforded to another. People in that position have lost their humanity, and then it makes it so much easier to justify anything to anyone else because that primal thing that makes us all connected, that makes us all one, has now been put in some closet and it's just banging and yelling at the door, and you're trying to ignore it. And it sounds to me like Darryl made you listen to that humanity banging at your own closet door.
That's exactly it, Ron. When you're involved in these movements, you lose your humanity
Right.
because you've become a dehumanizer. You're
Right.
dehumanizing other people.
Right.
And the irony of this is, and this is another thing that I recognized towards the very end
Right.
when I was involved, I had met with a TV station from Chile, and they were asking me about something, and I said, the press dehumanizes us. And I'm talking from the movement.
Right.
I was saying, we get dehumanized.
Right.
Us people in the movement. I'm sitting here talking like we're the victims.
Right.
Here's chief dehumanizer
Yeah.
talking about being dehumanized.
Yeah.
I could recognize that some people dehumanized
Yeah.
those in the movement,
Right.
which is legit. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're dehumanizing others, it's very easy to dehumanize you.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
could recognize that part, but I didn't recognize.
You couldn't turn the mirror around.
Right.
Yeah.
How ironic, right?
Yeah. Not really. And I think part of it is a fundamental human response. When attacked, people want to defend, and that usually sometimes means attacking back. I'm not justifying the fact that people had a right to attack you or anybody else. Well, because I think violence just has no place. Even vocal violence is sometimes, for some, as deadly, if not worse so, than the physical thing. Because sometimes you got to live with all that ugliness inside of you if nobody helps you to, untangle it and pull it out of yourself. But the idea here is that I'm not surprised that people, would, basically not treat you as a human being because guess what? That's what you're doing to them.
Right.
And the sad thing is that just becomes the downward spiral that destroys us all. And that's why I get so caught in the idea that we have got to find a way to elevate our humanity for the sake of everyone. I would never condone the things you did in that life. I would never condone the hurt you did. But if there's any hope for redemption, I have to believe you're worthy of it. And that is the hardest thing of all for just about everybody. And to me, it's not just a moral imperative or a humanity imperative. To me, it's an American imperative. To heal the country, we've got to be able to try to give people the grace that we wish we would get for ourselves. But sometimes, like I said before, but if you go breaking some laws, let's just lock your ass up for a little while.
Sure.
We'll hug you, but there are going to be some bars between us.
Sure.
And when we get out, we'll figure the rest out. As we both know, Darryl Davis is amazing. Yeah, was there anybody else there who helped you to really plug back in?
When I say Darryl's family.
Really?
To me, Darryl's my brother.
Right.
He works with us at Beyond Barriers, and he's a phenomenal human being.
Mm-hmm.
I could go on all day about Darryl. But the next step in my getting out was meeting another filmmaker. Well, Darryl was part of the film. That was for his film,
Right.
Accidental Courtesy. But I met a Muslim filmmaker by the name of Dia Khan. Similar circumstance where, would you appear in this film? And I thought, well, sure, I'm going to spread the word of the movement. I met Dia Khan. We spent quite a bit of time together. I got to know her as a person, as a human being.
Right.
And similar approach to what Darryl did. She talked to me. We're sitting across from each other, and she told me about how racism and hate affected her as a child growing up. And I could see the pain in her face.
Right.
I could feel the energy, the vibe in the air.
Right.
It's like I could feel I could never put myself in someone else's shoes 100%. I could
Right.
never understand what they've been through,
Yeah.
but I could feel it, like an energy or a vibe in the air. I don't want to get too esoteric, but there was something.
No, I don't. It
was.
Yeah, I get where you're going. I do.
Ron, it hit me like getting kicked in the chest by a horse. That was the beginning of the end for me. I could not reconcile with being involved in that kind of movement any longer.
Right.
After that, that was the beginning of the end. Everything after meeting her and having that experience and feeling that sadness, that hurt, everything after that was, how can I fix this?
Right.
And then it was a process.
Right.
I would like to say that I snapped my fingers and left right there, but it didn't work that fast.
Yeah, and it generally doesn't work that way. It's not like turning a unicycle. It's not just one quick pivot and now you're just going the other way and then slowly picking up momentum. It's usually more like turning a battleship. The slow, intentional movement away from one thing towards another, and in the middle, it's just sort of the unknown. Because I imagine there was a lot that maybe had to do with how do I build down this thing? How do I power down this thing in reference to the people who look to me for all of this stuff? And so that's one of the things that I think is really important for people to understand. I think that so many people, when they talk about these issues, they want what they want right now. They want defunded police today, or they want their white homeland today. Trust me, it takes a while to get the permits squared away and all the stuff, and asking the people who aren't white supremacists to do. First off, it ain't gonna happen. No, calm down. No supremacy, all right? Talking to you. But the idea here is that change in any way, shape, form, or level is usually a process. And so those were two critical people that help you move deeper into your change world. And I know in many respects it's still a world that's evolving itself for you. But you're now on a redemptive path. And that's what I think is beautiful, and what I like to talk about in our next segment is that whole thing, because as I said to you, you hold an incredibly critical space. And we'll talk about what that space is in our next segment. So how's that for a cliffhanger? All right, so tune in, come back. I love you. You know why? Because it's tax-free.